It's absolutely fascinating when you really think about it. We spend 8 hours every single day fantasizing about our free time. We sit at our desks daydreaming about what we'll do when we get home, making mental lists of all the amazing things we want to accomplish in our evenings. But then something bizarre happens. The moment we walk through our front door, it's like all that excitement just evaporates into thin air. Sound familiar? You collapse onto your couch, grab your phone, and suddenly 3 hours have vanished into the void of mindless scrolling. Or maybe you stare at the TV watching shows you don't even really care about, feeling this weird combination of exhaustion and restlessness at the same time. Trust me, I've been there. Actually, I was worse than that for years. My evenings used to be this strange twilight zone where time moved differently. I'd blink, and somehow it was bedtime, and I couldn't even tell you what I'd actually done with those precious hours. Every single night felt like watching my life slip through my fingers, one wasted evening at a time. The worst part wasn't even the time I was losing. It was this growing sense that I was letting myself down repeatedly. But here's what changed everything for me. And I want to share it with you because what you're about to discover isn't another collection of impossible productivity hacks or some guru's morning routine that requires waking up at 4 in the morning. These are real strategies that work with your natural energy patterns, not against them. Simple changes that transformed my evenings from this daily disappointment into the absolute best part of my day over the next few minutes. And honestly, you might want to grab something to take notes with. We're going to explore 8 interconnected systems that work together, like puzzle pieces to help you reclaim your evenings. We'll dive deep into energy management, which is completely different from what most people think it is. We'll talk about digital wellness, psychological techniques that actually work, and practical habits that stick without feeling like work. The beautiful thing about what you're going to learn is that it builds on itself. Each strategy amplifies the others, creating this upward spiral where your evenings keep getting better and better. By the end of this, you'll have a complete framework for turning those after work hours into your personal growth time, your connection time, your creativity time. Basically, everything you've been dreaming about during those long work days. Let's start with something that might surprise you. The real problem with most people's evenings isn't actually time management at all. It's energy management and understanding. This distinction changes absolutely everything about how you approach your after work hours. Think about it this way. Your evening isn't really about the numbers on a clock, is it? It's about your energy levels, your mental state, your actual capacity to enjoy life after work. You could have 5 free hours, but if your energy is completely depleted, those 5 hours might as well be 5 minutes. On the flip side, sometimes you have just 1 hour of high energy, and that single hour can feel more fulfilling than an entire weekend of low energy. This is where most people get it completely wrong. They try to manage their evenings like they're managing a work project, scheduling activities back to back, creating these rigid timelines that ignore how they actually feel. But your energy doesn't follow a schedule. It has its own rhythm, its own natural ebb and flow. And when you start working with that rhythm instead of against it, magic happens. The first game changer I want to share with you is something I call the shutdown ritual. It sounds almost ceremonial, and honestly, that's exactly what it is. When you finish work, and I mean the very moment you're done, you stand up from your workspace, take 3 genuinely deep breaths, and physically close your laptop or put down whatever represents work for you. What makes this so powerful isn't just the physical action, though that matters. It's the psychological signal you're sending to your brain. You're essentially saying work mode off, life mode on. Your brain loves clear signals like this. Without them, you carry this invisible work energy into your personal time and it colors everything you do afterward. But here's where it gets really interesting. Most people think their evening is this one long block of time, and that's overwhelming. When you see 4 or 5 hours stretching ahead of you, your brain doesn't know where to start, so it defaults to the easiest option, which is usually your phone or the couch. Instead, I want you to think about something I call the 90-minute evening block system Your brain naturally operates in these 90-minute focus cycles throughout the day. Scientists call them ultradian rhythms, and they don't magically stop when you leave work. So instead of seeing your evening as this intimidating chunk of free time, we're going to break it into what I like to call power blocks, each with its own purpose and energy level. Block one is recovery time. This is your decompression period. And yes, you absolutely need this. No decisions, no planning, no productivity pressure, just pure recharge. Maybe that's a hot shower. Maybe it's sitting in your favorite chair for 20 minutes. Maybe it's going for a slow walk around the block. The key is removing all mental effort from this time. Block two is growth time. By now, your energy is starting to climb back up, which makes this perfect for learning something new. Getting some movement in, working on a hobby, or tackling that creative project you've been thinking about. This is when your brain is most receptive to new experiences without the full weight of work stress. Block three is connection time. Your energy is balanced now, making it ideal for quality time with family, friends, or even deeper connection with yourself through journaling or reflection. You're present, you're available, and you can actually enjoy these interactions instead of just going through the motions. Now, here's something that completely shifted my perspective, and I call it reverse scheduling. Most people plan from morning to evening, but think about this, your evening actually affects your morning more than your morning affects your evening. The quality of your sleep, the way you wind down, the thoughts you go to bed with, these shape how you wake up and start the next day. So we're going to flip the script. Start with when you want to sleep, then work backward to structure your evening. Blocks. This single change eliminates so much stress because you're planning with intention instead of hoping things work out. There's one more element that ties this all together, and it's something I call the 2-minute evening reset. Every time you switch between activities, you take just 2 minutes to physically reset your space. Clear your desk, adjust the lighting, change your clothes if needed. These might seem like tiny actions, but they create these profound psychological shifts. Each reset tells your brain we're moving to something new, something intentional. Now, let's talk about something that affects every single one of us, and that's our relationship with technology. Your devices can either be the destroyers of your evening potential or powerful tools that enhance your after-work experience. The difference comes down to how intentionally you use them. Picture this comparison. In old vampire movies, vampires drain energy from their victims, leaving them weak and lifeless. Your phone and laptop can function exactly like that. They're energy vampires, quietly sucking away your evening vitality without you even realizing. It's happening. But unlike movie vampires, you have complete control over these ones. That I want to share an unconventional approach that transformed how I relate to my devices. I call it app mortality, and it's both simple and surprisingly powerful. Every evening, you delete one app from your phone. That's one. The immediate reaction most people have is, but what if I need it tomorrow? And that's perfectly fine. You can always reinstall it. But here's what's remarkable 90% of the time. You won't even remember which app you deleted. This isn't about becoming a digital minimalist who lives like it's 1985. It's about becoming conscious of how many digital distractions you're carrying around in your pocket. When you start deleting apps, you realize how many of them are just taking up mental space without adding any real value to your life. Another strategy that changed my entire evening experience is what I call the analog hour. 1 hour before you want to sleep, your devices go to sleep before you do. But here's the crucial part that most people miss. Don't just turn them off. Actually put them in a different room. Physical distance creates psychological distance. When I started doing this, my bedroom transformed from feeling like a satellite office into this amazing sanctuary. No blue light, no notification anxiety, no temptation to check just one more thing. Your bedroom becomes associated with rest and peace instead of digital stimulation. The goal isn't to eliminate technology from your evening entirely. Technology can be incredible when used intentionally. The key is choosing 3 essential apps that genuinely enhance your evening experience. Everything else is just digital noise competing for your attention. Try implementing what I call screen life separation tactics. Create physical barriers between you and your screens. Put your charger in the kitchen instead of next to your bed. Keep your laptop in a drawer when you're not actively using it. Use an actual alarm clock instead of your phone. These small changes build what I think of as a fortress around your evening peace. Remember, this core principle: technology should serve your evening, not steal it. When you approach your devices with this mindset, you naturally start making choices that support your well-being instead of undermining it. This brings us to something equally important, but often overlooked, and that's managing your mind. Your brain is essentially the control center of your entire evening experience. And these psychological techniques I'm about to share aren't just theoretical concepts from some self-help book. They're real transformations I've seen work both in my own life and with hundreds of people I worked with. Here's an insight that completely changed how I think about screens and sleep. Your brain doesn't actually distinguish between digital light and sunlight. When you're staring at your laptop or phone until midnight, your brain genuinely thinks it's high noon. But the key insight isn't just about when you look at screens. It's about how you transition away from them, creating what I call your evening sanctuary. Isn't about throwing some comfortable pillows around and calling it good. It's about intentionally designing a space that speaks directly to your subconscious mind, telling it this is where transformation happens. Think soft lighting, comfortable textures, calming colors. Your environment is constantly communicating with your brain, almost like a whisper, influencing your mood and energy in ways you might not even notice. One technique that transformed my evenings is future self-journaling. Every evening, try writing a brief letter to your morning self. But here's the psychological element that makes all the difference. Don't write what you should do. Instead, write how you want to feel. Your brain has this incredible ability to reverse engineer the path to those feelings. When you focus on the emotional outcome instead of the specific actions, you give your subconscious permission to be creative about how to get there. There's a mindset shift that changed everything for me. And I call it moving from evening energy debt to evening energy investment. Most people see their evening as borrowed time from tomorrow, like they're somehow cheating by enjoying themselves after work. But consider this shift: your evening isn't the debt you're paying to today's exhaustion. It's an investment you're making in tomorrow's potential. Each moment of rest, each spark of creativity, each genuine connection is actually building your energy reserves for the next day. This leads to something I call the decision elimination strategy. By evening, your decision-making muscles are literally exhausted. You've been making choices all day at work, and your brain is tired of deciding things. So the solution is to eliminate as many evening decisions as possible. Lay out tomorrow's. Close before you start your evening routine. Pre-plan your meals. Set up your morning space. Your future self will thank you, and your evening self can focus on enjoyment instead of logistics. Understanding your emotions becomes crucial here. Because they're not obstacles to manage, they're actually signals waiting to be decoded. In your evenings, these signals become incredibly powerful tools for transformation. Let me share something that might surprise you about meditation. Forget everything you know about sitting for an hour in lotus position with perfect posture and empty thoughts. We're going to think much smaller and much more practical. When you pour your evening tea, just feel the warmth of the cup in your hands. When you sit on your couch, notice 3 points where your body makes contact with the surface. These tiny moments of awareness work like hitting a reset button for your nervous system. I discovered something that transformed my relationship with my emotions, and I call it the evening awareness protocol. Most of us rush through our evenings on complete autopilot, moving from one activity to another without any conscious awareness of how we're actually feeling. But your evening has a pulse, a rhythm, and when you start paying attention to it, you can work with it instead of against it. Try this simple practice every hour during your evening. Take just 10 seconds to name your current emotion. That's all. Don't try to change it. Don't judge it. Just name it. The simple act of naming emotions actually reduces their power over you by about 40%. There's real neuroscience behind this. When you name an emotion, You activate the prefrontal cortex, which naturally calms the emotional centers of your brain. This is where real transformation happens through what I call present moment anchoring. Pick 3 everyday evening activities. Maybe it's brushing your teeth, washing dishes, or changing into comfortable clothes. These become your mindfulness anchors. When you do these activities, you're not just going through the motions anymore. You're practicing presence, and these mundane moments can become your most powerful meditation. Something else that proved incredibly valuable is emotional energy tracking. Your emotions aren't random at all. They follow patterns just like everything else in nature. Keep a simple energy scale from 1 to 10 and track your emotional energy 3 times each evening. After 2 weeks, you'll start seeing your emotional rhythms as clearly as your daily schedule. And you can plan your activities around your natural emotional peaks and valleys. Before bed, try what I call the evening emotional audit. It might sound intense, but it actually brings tremendous freedom. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. What energized me today? What drained me? And what surprised me? Don't write essays. Single words are enough. You're not analyzing here, you're just acknowledging. This simple practice helps you understand your patterns and make better choices moving forward. The most valuable lesson I've learned about evening emotions is that they're not obstacles to overcome, they're messages to decode. When you start listening to them with curiosity instead of judgment, something incredible happens. They become your most reliable guides to creating a fulfilling life. Beyond all this inner work, there's another crucial piece of the puzzle, and that's our social connections. We talk a lot about physical energy, but your social energy matters just as much. Mastering this aspect means creating evenings that fill you up instead of leaving you feeling drained and depleted. Think of it this way: your social battery works exactly like your phone battery. Just like you check your phone's charge throughout the day, you need to know how much social energy you have left. Some activities and people actually charge you up, while others drain you down. The key insight is figuring out your unique pattern. Instead of trying to maintain 20 different friendships, which I learned through painful experience just doesn't work, focus on building 3 to 5 deep connections. These people become your evening tribe. They're the ones who understand that sometimes you need connection and sometimes you need space. And they don't take it personally either way. There's something rarely discussed that I think is crucial. And that's identifying what I call energy vampires. I want to be really clear here. These aren't necessarily bad people. They're just people whose energy patterns clash with yours. Try doing what I call an energy vampire audit. Start noticing which evening social interactions leave you feeling energized versus which ones leave you feeling completely drained. This isn't about avoiding people or becoming antisocial. It's about timing your interactions wisely and protecting your energy so you can show up fully for the connections that matter most. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is recognize when you don't have the energy to be present for someone and either reschedule or set appropriate boundaries. Here's something that shifted my entire perspective on evening socializing. What if connection actually is productivity? Those evening conversations might be recharging your creativity, your problem-solving abilities, and your emotional resilience in ways that traditional productivity advice completely overlooks. I started mapping my social energy the same way you'd map a city. Some places naturally energize you, others drain you. Some people lift you up, others require more energy than you might have to give. Understanding this isn't about being selfish, it's about being sustainable. It's about creating evenings that work for everyone involved. One strategy that works beautifully is what I call the social recharge protocol. For every hour of social interaction, plan 15 minutes of quiet time afterward. Think of it like cooling down after exercise. You wouldn't just stop running and immediately sit down, right? You need to walk it off first. Social interactions work the same way, even positive ones. Now that we understand the social dynamics, let's turn these insights into lasting habits. Building evening habits isn't about forcing yourself to change through sheer willpower. It's about becoming an architect of small, powerful actions that transform your life naturally. And I emphasize naturally because that's what makes them stick. The secret is something I call micro habit stacking. Instead of trying to build one big, overwhelming habit that requires massive willpower, we stack tiny ones together. Each micro habit should take less than 30 seconds. That's the sweet spot where your brain doesn't resist the change. Here's how it works in practice. When you walk through your front door, you hang your keys, take off your shoes, and change into comfortable clothes. See what happened there? 3 micro habits, 1 natural moment. Your brain starts associating coming home with this automatic sequence of transitioning into evening mode. The real breakthrough comes when you find your evening keystone habit. Think of it like the first domino that makes all the others fall naturally. For me, it's making a cup of tea. Such a simple thing, right? But this simple act sends a clear signal to my brain that the evening transformation begins now. From there, everything else just flows without effort. Most people make a crucial mistake here, and I certainly did for years. They try to stick to one hobby or activity every single evening. That's like eating the same meal every day. Your brain craves variety. Instead, create what I call a wheel of 4 different activities: reading, drawing, music, crafts, learning, whatever speaks to you. Rotate through them based on your energy and mood. Your brain loves this variety, and it completely prevents evening boredom. Another approach that keeps things fresh is what I call the daily experiment protocol. It might sound scientific, but it's actually incredibly playful. Each evening, try one tiny new thing. Maybe sit in a different chair to change your perspective. Use your non-dominant hand for something simple. Listen to music you've never heard before. Take a different route on your evening walk. These small experiments keep your brain flexible and your evenings interesting. They prevent that feeling of every evening blending together into one forgettable blur. When you intentionally introduce small variations, each evening starts to have its own character and memorable moments. This is where real magic happens through creative cross-pollination. Start letting your evening activities blend together naturally. If you're learning guitar, try doodling the chord patterns. If you're reading, act out the scenes when you're alone. When activities mix like this, your brain creates new neural pathways, and evening boredom becomes literally impossible. Here's a valuable lesson I wish I'd understood years earlier. Embrace what I call creative fallow periods. Sometimes your evening energy will be low, and that's not failure. That's actually your brain's natural reset cycle. These quiet moments aren't empty at all. They're like a field resting between harvests, preparing for your next creative burst. Honor these periods instead of fighting them. All these habits and strategies we've been talking about, they require energy to sustain them. Your brain and body are like the power plants of your evening, and understanding how to optimize them changes everything about your after-work experience. Let's start with something I call movement snacking. Forget about forcing yourself into a full workout when you're already tired from work. Instead, we're going to take tiny bites of movement throughout your evening. Stand up every 30 minutes. Stretch for 60 seconds. Do 5 jumping jacks between activities. The important point here is that these aren't exercise in the traditional sense. They're energy boosters. I've observed something fascinating about evening energy patterns. Your energy follows this natural curve throughout the evening, like a wave, and it doesn't stay flat. From 5 to 7 in the evening, your energy naturally dips. We all feel this, it's biological. Then from 7 to 9, it typically rises again. After 9, it should gradually descend to prepare for sleep. Working with this curve instead of against it is the real secret to mastering your evening energy. Try thinking of yourself as a personal evening scientist for 1 week. Rate your energy every hour from 1 to 10. Write down what you're doing, what you're eating, what you're thinking about. You'll start seeing patterns emerge. Some activities consistently drain you. Others reliably recharge you. This isn't about judgment. It's about discovery. Your mental energy works differently than your physical energy. And this is crucial to understand. Your brain has a finite amount of decision-making power each day, and by evening, it's running on fumes. This is why we need to establish what I call your evening thought diet. You have to be selective about what deserves your remaining mental energy. Social media scrolling is essentially junk food for your brain. It provides stimulation without nutrition, leaving you feeling simultaneously overstimulated and unsatisfied. But deep conversation, creative work, or learning something new, that's brain nutrition. It actually restores your mental energy instead of depleting it. The key insight about evening energy management, that it's not about pushing through tiredness or forcing productivity. It's about understanding your natural rhythms and honoring them. When you work with your body's wisdom instead of fighting it, your evenings transform from exhausting to energizing. Everything we've explored so far comes together in these final integration strategies. These aren't just supplementary tips to tack on to the end. They're the framework that makes all your other evening practices stick together. Naturally, and SUSTAI dot, the life-work separation ritual functions as your daily bridge between these two worlds. Most people try to build a solid wall between work and personal life, but that actually creates more tension than it solves. Walls are rigid and stressful to maintain. Instead, what we're going to do is build a bridge. Picture creating a 15-minute transition space where each step across this bridge moves you further from work mode and closer to life mode. Maybe the first step is changing clothes. The second step is making that cup of tea we talked about. The third step is taking 5 minutes to sit quietly and let the day settle. By the time you've crossed this bridge, you're genuinely present for your personal life. Boundaries work similar to training a puppy. You know how gentle, consistent guidance works better than harsh rules or punishment. That's exactly the approach we need here. When work thoughts try to creep into your evening, and they will try, don't fight them aggressively. Simply guide your attention back to your personal life, just as you would gently guide a puppy back to its bed. This brings us to what ties everything together, the whole life integration framework. Your evening isn't some separate compartment of your life that doesn't affect anything else. It's actually the foundation that supports everything else you do. Every single evening activity either builds your life energy or drains it. Every space you create either lifts your spirit or weighs it down. Every relationship you invest in either lights up your world or dims it. When you consistently choose activities that fill you up, create spaces that inspire you, and build relationships that energize you, something beautiful happens. Your evening transforms into this daily celebration of who you're becoming. It stops being about recovering from work and starts being about actively creating the life you want. The integration happens naturally. When you stop thinking about your evening as separate from the rest of your life, your evening self is the same person as your work self and your weekend self. When you honor that person's needs for rest, growth, connection, and creativity, everything else starts falling into place. What I want you to understand is that this isn't about perfection. There will be evenings when you're too tired to do anything but collapse on the couch, and that's completely okay. The goal isn't to optimize every single moment. It's to create a framework flexible enough to support you whether you have high energy or low energy, whether you need solitude or connection, whether you want to be productive or purely restful. The beauty of this approach is that it builds momentum over time. Each intentional evening makes the next one easier. Each moment of presence creates space for more presence. Each boundary you set teaches you how to set better boundaries. Each experiment shows you more about what truly energizes you versus what just fills time. Your evenings are waiting for you. Not perfect evenings, not Instagram-worthy evenings, but real evenings that reflect who you actually are and support who you're becoming. Every single day, when you walk through that front door, you have the opportunity to choose growth over numbness, presence over distraction, intention over autopilot. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen consistently. When you apply these principles with patience and self-compassion, Your evenings can become the foundation for a life that energizes you instead of depleting you. And it all starts with how you choose to spend the next few hours after work today. Thought these strategies work together like instruments in orchestra. Individually, they're useful. Together, they create something beautiful that's much greater than the sum of its parts. Your evening symphony is waiting to be composed, and you're holding the conductor's baton.